Welcome to Lesson 10. Lesson 10 is the first week of another 3-week series on the personal essay. So you're going to notice that the schedule starting this week is going to be very similar um, to the unit on the persuasive essay, how you had 3 weeks to complete that essay. It's the same thing for the next 3 weeks. You're going to start this week on the personal essay and keep working on those elements the next couple of weeks. So again, it's not like the pattern we had established at the beginning of the semester, but this should feel at least a little more familiar to you since you just went through it in the last few weeks with your persuasive essay. So again, this week you're going to start working on the personal essay, and sometimes students think that, oh, it's a personal essay, it's easy. It's not always easy. So really pay attention to all of the different writing lessons that you and material that you cover this week and in the following weeks, because it can be really difficult to objectively reflect about yourself because you're so immersed in your own life. And sometimes it's really hard for you to step back and to look at your experience and your reflections about that experience, which is what you're going to be writing about. It's hard to look at those things objectively because they're you. So that's why I think narrative writing can be really difficult. So don't get stuck in that pit. Try to stay objective. Try to really look at your writing for what it is and not get so immersed in yourself. Okay. All right. So here are the objectives for the week. You're going to cover some of the basic characteristics of what a personal essay is and how to write one effectively. You're also going to cover in your grammar unit some pronoun usage. And then lastly, you're going to begin planning your personal essay. So here are the due dates and times. Of course, this is the main page for the lesson that you can always refer back to. So make sure that you do the grammar early in the week so that you can apply it to your writing throughout the week. Also make sure you get your reading assignments done for the discussion board early so that you can get your first post done by Wednesday. And again, all of this should look pretty similar. The big thing is that your writing assignment outline is due on Wednesday of this week. So you need to start planning and start writing that outline for that paper. You don't have to start drafting yet. This kind of counts as your first draft. But the first actual draft of your essay, in paragraph form will be turned in next week. So just like with your persuasive essay, you're working on an outline this week, and that's it. That's also what you're going to take to your gathering on Thursday. So you want to make sure you have a good solid outline in place before you do that. And then Saturday, your grammar exercises are due, as well as your response post to the discussion board and the normal reports that you fill out. So going a little more in depth, your grammar this week is all about pronouns, and I really want you to go slow and take your time with this grammar lesson because it has a lot of tricky elements that people often, just mistakes that people often make. One of the biggest mistakes is the pronoun confusion between I and me. Sometimes you'll want to say, Bob and me are going to the store, but that's incorrect. The correct pronoun to use in that case is I. My mom just nagged me and my siblings about this our whole life, so I just got it ingrained in my head which one to use. So here's a quick trick for you to be able to know which pronoun to use. If you take the pronoun out, will the sentence still make sense? So if you say Bob and me went to the store, does it make sense to take out Bob? There we go. Sorry, I was trying to think which one to take out. Does it make sense to say me went to the store? No, it doesn't. Okay, so try again. If you say Bob and I went to the store and you took out Bob, would I went to the store make sense? And it does. So again, it's a quick kind of deletion test. If you have two subjects, take out that first subject and then you can figure out which pronoun you need to use. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that was helpful and not more confusing because that's what I do in my head. That's what my mom always said to do is just take out that first subject, leaving you with the pronoun. And if the pronoun doesn't make sense in the sentence, then you need to use the different pronoun. This lesson also talks about using you in your papers. That's something in my other courses that I really stress. I don't stress it in this course, but do be really, really aware of how often you say you. When you go to the store, you do this. When you do this, you do this. It's just, there's no meaning to it. To me, it's kind of a lazier way of writing, and yet students have a really, really hard time letting that go. It's so ingrained in them that it's really hard to get them out of that habit. So do your best to try. Try to take every you out of your writing. And I promise it will get so much stronger just by taking out all of those yous. The lesson also talks about shifting between pronouns. Say you start with I, but then you use you, and then you use their. Those are three different persons. It's first person, second person, and third person. And if you shift between all of those, which I know I've seen in this class, but we haven't really stressed it up until this point, um, you don't want to do that. You want to stick strictly with one person. And I would suggest never using the second person, which is you again. So, since you're writing your personal essay this week, it's a narrative, you should always be writing first person. Don't use you and don't use any third person pronouns such as their. Stay in the first person. Okay, so there are two goals for you this week. Take you out of your paper and try really, really hard to only write in the first person. Okay, just a little help for you there. But again, that lesson is actually quite dense and has a lot of problems in it that students frequently make. So really pay attention to that material and then do your best on the grammar exercise. And if you have any questions, let me know. As for the readings and discussion, you have an article to read and then, of course, some questions about it. So I wanted to look at the discussion board with you really quickly. Oop, disappeared. There we are. So here are the directions to your discussion board. Let's see here. So you need to read the essay by George Orwell. And, and there's another one. I think there's two for you to choose from, excuse me. So pick an essay, and then you want to, let's see here, explain why you liked it. So pick the one you like, explain why you liked it, and then you want to discuss all of these characteristics of personal writing, as the directions say, for each essay, or for the essay that you picked. My brain is not functioning at this time, if you couldn't tell. So you're not choosing from this list. You need to include all of these. So you pick one of the essays, you explain why you liked it, and then for that one essay, you need to explain how that essay exemplifies all of these things, all 5 of them. Okay, so don't pick from this list. You need to have all 5 of these in your post. Okay, just want to make sure that you understand that you're picking the essay you talk about, but you're not picking these elements. And it says just a sentence or two pointing out a specific part of the essay is enough, but you need to cover each of these terms. Okay, that's what I wanted to point out there. Okay, and then for your writing lesson, you're just going to be learning the elements of a personal essay, and make sure as you cover this material, you think about and start planning in your mind your own essay. So as you go through this, think, okay, I have a hard time with this. Maybe I can improve on this area this time. Or, oh, it says to do this. I want to make sure that I use this effectively to make my paper better. So just remember, you're not learning this stuff in isolation. You're covering this material so that you can write an effective narrative. And then with your writing assignment, you are, again, only going to be working on your outline this week, but I wanted to cover what it is that you're going to be doing. So the paper as a whole is going to be a reflection on a personal experience or a set of related experiences. I would stick with one, to be honest. It will help your focus and will just, I don't know, I think it would be easier if you just had one experience as opposed to a set, but it's completely up to you. If you do a set of experiences, make sure they're related and make sure you relate them to each other. So once you have your experience or experiences, you need to, tell about it, but you also need to reflect about it. So this paper is going to be similar to your This I Believe essay. In your This I Believe essay, you state what your belief is, you give an experience to back that up, but then you also address that belief kind of in general. So it's a balance between the philosophical side where you're thinking and reflecting, and the more concrete side, which is your personal experience. Okay, so that was your This I Believe essay. Your personal essay is going to be very similar. You want to describe this experience with very good detail and very good imagery and things like that. But then once you do that, you have to talk about what that experience means to you or how it changed you or whatever. Again, it's another balance between reflecting and storytelling. So don't leave out the reflection part. All too often, students will just write about their experience and be done with it. You have to explain what's meaningful about it. If you don't, you're not doing the assignment properly. Okay, so you don't want to just tell a great story. You have to tell a great story and explain why it was meaningful in it and how it affected you. Okay, so you have to have both of those components. So that's as you start drafting. So make sure you read all of this information about thesis statements. So that can be really helpful. So here's all you have to do for your outline or summary. Just start pre-writing, read these directions, and get this done for Wednesday so that you can take it to your gathering on Thursday. Also, I will be looking over your outline and giving you feedback on it, on where I think you can improve, or if I think if you're doing just fine. I'll let you know based on your outline. All right, let's see if there's anything else. Here's some pre-writing tools that can be really helpful as you get going. But just remember, even in your outline, you need to have your story, but you need to have your reflection too. If I don't see where you're reflecting in your outline, I'm going to point it out so that you don't miss out on a lot of points because you didn't do the assignment properly. So if you do it from the very get-go, you'll be covered and you won't have to worry about it. So again, you're taking your outline to the gathering. Make sure you get some good feedback from your peers. Make sure you give good feedback so that you can begin working on your first draft. Also, continue working on your speaking partner and fill out your reports as usual. So again, the next 3 weeks you're going to be working on the personal essay. I hope you enjoy it and I hope it is meaningful for you because it allows you to take some time to really look at one experience and reflect on the meaning of that experience. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Just let me know. I will do my best to clarify anything that you need. And have fun.